Our earliest memories of love stories must stem from the tales Granny told us, all from ancient religious texts. We have been charmed by the first meeting of Sita and Rama, or the pursuit of Valli by Lord Muruga, or the ardor of Parvati's penance for Lord Shiva, or Krishna and the innumerable tales of his dalliances with Radha and the gopis. These stories never fail to delight and enchant us. I feel that these tales fascinate us because they feature the almighty gods with endearingly human traits. Hindu mythology is a treasury of beautiful love stories where gods and goddesses celebrate the various modes of Shringara. These stories have also been the inspiration for many a poem, a song, drama, or dance. And as dancers, much of our repertoire is also about these stories. I could consider no one more perfect to recall and recount some of these tales of romance in the kingdom of gods and goddesses in his own inimitable style that adds an additional sheen and lustre to the stories. I welcome Shri Devdutt Pattanaik, celebrated speaker and author. Shri Devdutt Pattanaik writes on relevance of mythology in modern times, especially in areas of management, governance, and leadership. Trained in medicine, he worked for 15 years in the healthcare and pharma industries before he focused on his passion full-time. He's the author of over 30 books and 600 columns. He was a speaker at TED India 2009. His TV shows include Business Sutra and Devlok. He's a consultant for organizations on culture, diversity, and leadership, and for various television channels and filmmakers on storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome Shri Devdutt Pattanaik, who's going to talk to us about love in the kingdom of God.
You know, it'll help if the lights are reduced because I like to see my audience. Yeah, thank you. So it's very intimidating to come in December to Chennai, to Krishna Gana Sabha, where everybody is dressed so beautifully and everybody knows everything about the scriptures. So I decided to dress up for the occasion. And I wore my pink shirt because that's my favorite color. And it's something that sort of prepares me for this lecture. So I was wondering what to speak. I do not plan my speeches. I sort of have a vague idea of where I want to go. I usually start with the title, Love in the Kingdom of God, and look at the context. But as I was experiencing Chennai since yesterday, and I was hearing about the world of economics and politics and philosophy and art, the word which came to my mind repeatedly since yesterday is a Marathi word. The word is Abhang. It is the way the Bhakti poetry in Maharashtra is called Abhang. Abhang. That which takes away the division. This division, Bhanga. So what is Khanda becomes Akhanda. What is Dvaita becomes Advaita. What does it mean? It's something that I keep wondering about. What is division? And when you think about division, you start wondering about Indian philosophy. You know, when you are thinking about words like Shringara, and this word is very important, we often are embarrassed by some of the emotions this word evokes. When we use words like Shringara, I want to use words like sublime eroticism. I don't want to say horny, because that is crude. I want to be refined. And the moment you make the differentiation between the crude and the refined, bhanga has started. Because it is like saying ghee is refined and milk is crude. You can't have the refined without the crude. The crude doesn't need the refined. Milk doesn't need ghee. Ghee needs milk. And this is something to understand if you want to understand Advaita, if you want to understand Abhanga, if you want to understand what is Purna, completeness. You cannot have Sanskriti without Prakriti. Prakriti doesn't need Sanskriti. Sanskriti needs Prakriti. Prakriti exists always. Purusha comes later, witnesses her, separates himself so that you can be witnessed. In order to fulfilled in my life, I want somebody to see me. And therefore, I need the other to exist. Because unless the other exists, I cannot see myself fulfilled. What is the use of dancing on a stage alone if there is no audience to witness it, to appreciate it, to clap, to criticize? It is most terrifying for a dancer not to be criticized. Claps are good, but if nobody criticizes you and nobody claps, you wonder whether you have performed at all. The audience is as important to the performer. The listener is as important to the speaker. And therefore you cannot do bhanga. And therefore we must understand what it means to be united. This is the meaning of united. When you think binary, khanda has happened. When you think of gender as man and woman, khanda has happened. When you see two branches of a tree as separate from the seed, khanda has happened. Khanda is important because if you don't cut the vegetables, you don't get the flavor of the vegetable. Unless you take a bite of it, you need to divide. You need to split. But ultimately it has to come down to unite itself. The journey of separation and union is what Shringara Ras is all about. Viraha, yoga. Unless you split and unite, you can't unite. Unless you split, unless the ghee is produced, you will not understand what milk is all about. Until you create refinement, you don't understand the purpose of crudeness. This union spectrum is what we need to appreciate. You see, when we use phrases like love in the kingdom of God, when the first time I got this title, kingdom of God is a Christian concept. It's not a Hindu concept. Deva Rajya, Rama Rajya is the only word you will get. But Ram is part of a continuum called Vishnu. Vishnu is part of a continuum of Shiva. Shiva is part of a continuum called Shakti. Shakti is part of a continuum called the Vedas. It's all a continuum. There is no bhanga. This is very important. Kingdom of God, and when I'm using the word Christian, I'm using it very specifically. Because to understand Indian thought, we have to understand what Indian thought is not. Indian thought is not about judgment. God is not a judge. There is no concept of Qayamat, judgment day. You will never be judged, ever. So if there is someone judging you in a talent contest, you're missing the point of art. Because art is to experience anubhava, refinement of how your body functions, how your words pour out of your tongue, how does your expressions manifest, how do you respond to the audience. All that is what art is made of. Not the report card that the judge will hand out to you. There is no full stop. There are only commas. And we will keep changing. Ultimately, like milk, we will turn into ghee, and the ghee will light a lamp and illuminate the world. But all because in that illumination, I will see the milk, the Shirasagar, the ocean of milk, which has no boundaries. This ocean of milk has no boundaries. And because there are no boundaries, there is no concept of mine and yours. This is mine and this is yours. And therefore, there is no conflict. This is what we have to understand when we hear the stories of mythology, of Itihasa Purana. Itihasa is where the writer is present. Itihasa is Ramayana because Valmiki is present in the Ramayana. Itihasa, I saw it. Mahabharata is Itihasa because Vyasa is present. These are my children. I'm telling you the story of my children. Harivansha is Purana because the authors were not present. The Puran is where I am telling you what I have heard in the kingdom of gods. This is what happens. If at all there is a kingdom of God, it is Svarga. And Svarga is a very interesting concept in the Purans. Svarga is a place where Indra resides. Svarga is a place where Somaras flows, where Apsaras dance. Everybody believes this is the place to go. That everybody is mostly a man. Because Apsara is not metaphorical for him. Because it's a description of a man drinking and women dancing for him. Indra Sabha. Svarga. And I'm listening, I'm watching it. But Indra's personality is very interesting. He sits under the Kalpataru. He has got access to Chintamani. You know the pleasure of talking in Chennai, I don't have to explain these words. There he is sitting under the Kalpataru. He is holding the Chintamani in his hand. He has got access to Kamadhenu. There's Akshay Patra around him. The Apsaras are dancing. The Gandharvas are playing music. He has everything. But he is insecure. Indra ka singhasan dagmagata hai. He is always terrified. Terrified. Why is he terrified? Because the moment the Asura is born, he goes to his father Brahma and says, please kill him. Competition. The moment a Raja does a yajna, that is, participates in elections, he's like, steal the horse, steal the horse. And the moment a Rishi does tapasya, he goes to the Apsara department. Kuch to karo. This is the king of the gods. Somehow you have met him. He has everything, but he is insecure. What he has and what he is very different. When you appreciate this bhanga, you understand abhanga. And yet when we translate Indra and Devas, we say the gods. And we give them moral high ground when there's nothing moral about them. And of course then there's the contrarian who will say, Asuras actually are the noble people. No, they are not. Because the contrarian, right? The contrarian will always say, the Brahmin is evil, the king is bad, the poor are good. He is still in bhanga. Any divide, have not, Dalit, Savarna, any divide which denies humanity is bhanga. And that is what we must understand. Binary thinking, the refusal to recognize Indra inside you. Because even though you have all the money in the world, you are still insecure. For someone, you are Deva, who has everything. For someone else, you are Asura, competition, who has come to steal my wealth, who has come to steal my power, who has come to steal my fame, my kursi. Everywhere, The Devas and Asuras are everywhere. The Devas and Asuras cannot churn the ocean of milk as long as they are doing tug of war. The moment they do manthana, they do each other's darshan, and they work with each other, only then will the milk be churned, and butter will be revealed, and butter will give rise to ghee, which will help you light the lamp that will show you the ocean. So Devasur is a complex idea of bhang. Yes, Mohini will take Amrit and give it to the Devas. Proof of Brahminical superiority. Because Mohini knows Sanjeevani Vidya has been given to the Asuras by the Shiva. They're equally matched. One has Amrita, the other has Sanjeevani Vidya. One has Brihaspati, the other has Shukra. I will support the Pandavas, fully aware that the children of Pandavas are going to die. I will do Dharma Sthapana, fully aware that in exchange, Gandhari will give me a curse. You want Krishna as your father? Yes. You will die in Prabhasa. You want Ram as your father? You will be raised in the jungle. Be aware of the narrative, the simplistic division, the khanda of hero, villain, victim destroys rasa. Rasa is emotion. It is what you experience when you feel hungry. When you see a beautiful man walking and your body bursts with desire. Is it crude? Is it refined? It doesn't matter. The body doesn't care. It is driven crazy and wild. You can't think straight. And you're listening and you're watching and hormones are flowing. The translation of ras is usually hormones. But we can't accept it. It's so crude. But the young kids will understand it. And if you want to include the kids, talk their language. Rasa. When you see that beautiful thing and you want to eat it, that is there, that laddu in front of you and you've been told no. You have to go to a keto diet. Or the doctor tells, no, you can't. High blood sugar levels. You can't, you want to eat it. That desire for something so desperate. And then you're told, but it doesn't belong to you, darling. ये किसी दूसरे का है. And then you understand what it means to be Swakiya and Parakiya. Radha does not belong to Krishna. They can dance together in the garden, but when the sun rises, she has to go to her husband. She's the laddu you shall never eat. And only when you realize that, you understand what rasa is. Everybody experiences rasa. The amoeba, the first life form, unless you are dead, ajiva, achitta. The moment you become sajiva, sachitta, you have to experience hunger. The juices have to flow. When you see food, you get excited. I will eat. Or when you see someone which is about to eat you, you get scared. That is the birth of Shringara. Shri, Anga, Angara. Embers, which are auspicious. This is Shringara, the birthing of life, of desire. What is desire? I want to eat that. That's the birth of desire. Or, I don't want to be eaten by that. And then you understand what the Vedas say when they are saying, Jivo Jivatsya Jivanam. Life is created by consuming life. Sometimes you are food. Sometimes you are the consumer of food. You are both. You are Anna and Annada. Somebody is going to consume you, and you are going to consume someone. As long as you are the bhog or the bhogi, decide. In every moment of your life, you are bhog and bhogi. Somebody is going to eat you. You don't want that. I don't want to be consumed. I don't want to be exploited. I don't want to be abused. I don't want you to take me. But nobody asked the deer permission while hunting it. The tiger hunts it. The king hunts it. Pandu doesn't take permission of the love-making deer while shooting it. We are the deer. Somebody is going to shoot us, and therefore we like Mriganayani, we're scared and terrified. But we are also the tiger on the prowl. We are also going to hunt. The joy of conquest, the joy of defeating someone, the joy of winning a debate, the joy of being first in class, of being better than the other. All of us have it. We are all that and more. We are predator and prey. We are bhogi and bhog. The question is this journey voluntary or involuntary? Do I want to be your bhog? I don't want to be your bhog, then it's exploitation. I want to be your bhog, then it is love. I want you to exploit me. I am vulnerable and offer myself to you. That is a different emotion. Versus bhogi, I want to consume you, but with or without your consent. Can I control my desire? Bhog. This is the conversation that is happening all the time. In the Vedas, there are only three main characters: Indra, Agni, Soma. Indra is you and I. Agni is our desire. Soma is that what we will consume. And the relationship, the complex relationship between me, my hunger, and what I shall eat, my food, is the journey. Because the food is the other, or is it me? Abhanga and bhanga. Is the audience me? Do I consume the audience, or does the audience consume me? Is the consumption voluntary or involuntary? These are the conversations in the great epics. It starts, these are the conversations in the Vedas. The storytelling begins in the Vedas. Yes, we talk about Ram and Sita and Krishna and Radha, but I always think of this Vedic character from the 8th mandala called Apala. This young girl who chews Soma in her mouth and invites, Indra appears and says, "What do you want?" And she is scared of him because she knows what he wants to do. He's Indra, his desire. And she says, "I want my body to burst. I want hair under the navel." She's asking to turn into a woman so that she can experience pleasure. She says, "I want hair in the field," which is basically mangalyam, harvest. "I want hair on my father's bald head." Basically talking about going for Botox. Regeneration. She's asking Indra for desire. And then Indra passes her through holes of the wheel. The metaphor is rich. What are they talking about? It's talking about the birth of Shringara. In the Rig Veda, the 8th mandala. Or in the first mandala, there is a conversation between the Rikshika, Lopamudra, with Agastya. Agastya is saying, "Let us do the yajna, let us do the yajna. We have to do so many kriyas." And she says, "Yeah, but we also want to make babies, don't we? Come, let's have fun." Rig Vedas say that only. Of course, in sophisticated, refined language, which nobody can understand. About very human emotions. Wife is saying, "Job chodo, idhar aao. Nahi to main to chali." It is the conflict between the professional and the personal life, work-life balance as we call it. In this world of bhanga, where work has been separated from life, where weekends and weekdays have been separated from time. This is Agastya and Lopamudra talking. And she's saying, what is important? Don't I matter? Those gods matter more than me? And the first Viraha story is not of a woman crying for a man. The first Viraha story in the Rig Veda is of a man crying for a woman. Pururava crying for Urvashi. Urvashi says, I have produced the baby, now you take care of him. I am going with my girlfriends. It is the first time the word Svarga and the only time the word Svarga is used in the Rig Veda is when Urvashi is telling poor Pururava that I am off with my girlfriends. That is Svarga. Tu bacche ko sambhal. This is the origin of Viraha. This poor man saying, doesn't baby matter? And she says, no, you are there, no? Take care of him. My heart is breaking. I will die. Don't worry. When you die, you will come to heaven. There is absolutely no longing for him. She is finished. The realization that your lover has done with you. Her hunger has been satisfied and she has moved on. The heartbreak. You want to be bhog, but the bhogi doesn't desire you anymore. That is the moment. There is no pativrata here. This is Rig Veda. Of course, we don't want to read the Rig Veda at home. We don't want children to be like Apala, desiring puberty. We don't want wives to behave like Lopamudra, saying, come here and satisfy me. We don't want lovers to one day say, bye. Main to chali. But we don't mind singing about Sri Krishna leaving Vrindavan to Mathura. The longing woman is so much more desirable in art, I am told, than the longing man. And yet, that is bhanga, the separation of male and female. We don't see this. In Buddhism, one of the things that Buddhism did, it said that women cannot attain nirvana because of the female biology. You have to become a man in order to become the Buddha. And there is a very famous story of a courtesan who becomes a nun and who wants to see the Buddha. And we are told the only way she can get there, because there's a large crowd of men around, Buddha turns her into a man so that she can come close to him. She has to become a man to come close to him. This rejection of the female body as earthly and the male body is something sublime begins, and Tantra fights back. And Tantra says, that's rubbish. For bhakti, the man has to become a woman. And therefore, in the Rasa Leela, when Krishna is doing the Rasa Leela as the Purana Purusha, and it's interesting, the Purana Purusha image. The Purana Purusha image is of a man with alta in his hands, with a plait in his hair, with earrings and nose rings and anklets. That's your Purana Purusha. Dancing with the Rasikas around. And Shiva says, I want to participate. You have to turn into a woman. Only then you can participate in the Maharas. And therefore he turns into Gopeshwar Mahadev. The macho god becomes Gopeshwara. He wears the nose ring, he wears the ghagra, he wears the skirt, and he dances. So if the Shramana traditions is saying that you have to become a man in order to get nirvana, the Bhakti traditions are saying you have to give up your masculinity in order to unite with the divine. Both ideas come from India. Fluidity this way and that way. Now, what is refined? To become a man becomes a woman, or a woman becomes a man? What is crude? When we start appreciating these ideas, we understand Shringara. We have to appreciate Shringara with the other. Parajiva leads you to Paramatma. Without the Parajiva, there cannot be a lover who will make love to you. In aloneness, there is no one to kiss. In aloneness, that is what is happening on Mount Kailas where Shiva is doing tapasya. And the goddess says, but who will kiss you? Who will touch you? Your body matters. Come down from Kailasa. There is air conditioning there. But down in Kashi is where we shall make love next to the crematorium, reminding us that everything has an expiry date. Like this lecture. Everything has to end. And if it doesn't end, how will you enjoy the food? How will you enjoy longing? How will you enjoy the burp of satisfaction? How will you enjoy the great orgasms that life has to offer? Until you feel that, you will not yearn for your next lover and wonder, will he admire me as much as I admire him? Or shall I go through life feeling unadorned, unloved, like Duryodhan, whose mother is blindfolded herself and whose father is blind? Krishna watches. Krishna has Yashoda, who loves him, and the Gopikas who love him. But when he sees Duryodhan, he says, this man has never been loved. The father is blind and the mother is blindfolded. He looks at Jarasandha and says, this man has never been loved. At birth, he was cast away in garbage until a Rakshashi brought him to life. Kansa has never been loved. He's a child of rape. You have to do darshan. Only then you understand viparita bhakti. You understand troll behavior. They hate you because they yearn for love. If they were in love, if they had experienced Shringara, they wouldn't be on Twitter. And that is the idea I'd like to leave you with in this wonderful morning in Chennai. Thank you.